Yeah, I'm certain a lot of drivers will want to lock themselves in and not have to worry about uh, having to point themselves in because they know, especially with only 2 races left, there's not a lot of room to move if you had a bit of a lower start of your season. So I can definitely see some of these drivers when to punch their ticket earlier on in the season tonight. But there's still the chance of next week if it doesn't go, so it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, 4 drivers are currently locked in right now on wins. Matthew Morton in the lead at the moment. He's got 3 wins to his name for Ohio State University. Muhammad Alif and Daniel Nanny, 2 Ball State drivers, are tied at 2 wins apiece for that second position. And then fourth place right now goes to Jake Cummings from Wingate University by virtue of winning the season opener at Auto Club. And there are still 6 spots left for grabs. Clint Halterman right now on top. He's in the fifth position, and then it's Charles Wembley from Guilford College, Jason Wallet from Drexel University, Andrew Williams from Clemson University, Zach DeWale from St. Clair College, Ryan Whitlock, and Ryan Whitlock is currently the transfer position at the moment. But he has a 4-point lead over Andrew Stagey from Ball State University, who we're about to talk to right now. So let's go ahead and bring him up in the booth. Andrew Stagey from Ball State University, welcome to the booth. I believe it's the first time in a while that we've had you here on the show. But we were just talking about the playoff standings coming into this week's race. With 2 weeks left before we make the cut to our playoff drivers, you sit 4 points below the line to Ryan Whitlock. What's going to be your strategy tonight to try and work your way in?
My strategy tonight is just basically running my own race and just keeping care of my tires. I think that if I can just do what I need to do and let the cards fall in place, I think I'll be in a pretty good position going into next week.
Ball State has one of the most prolific programs we've seen in the CIL. Is there anything that your teammates have been trying to cook up that you can tell us, or is that confidential?
We just like to work together and collaborate, just trying to find different things, find some time here and there. So we just find a little bit here and there and apply it into our qualifying and our racing. And yeah.
Well, we know that some of your teammates like Muhammad Alif, Cale Davidson, and Lucas Moody have found success here in the past, as well as on our road course side, which really plays, this track really plays into the strengths of road course drivers. You yourself have found success in Formula C as well in the past over some races. So how is this track going to play into the strengths of Ball State as a team, and how might it throw some wrenches in your plans to try and get some more drivers in the playoffs?
I think definitely with Alif and then Daniel being a very good driver, that this will definitely play to their strong suit. I know that Alif's won here once or twice in the past, and at least for me, this has not been my best track. So I've just been doing what I can to learn from them and just apply the little things and just try to keep myself in the game.
While we lead up into tonight's event, is there anyone who you're looking at as being like someone you want to learn from, someone who you expect to be a surprise front runner tonight?
I don't know about surprise front runner, but you can learn anything from just any driver in front of you, just the little things that you pick up. I think I mentioned that a couple of times. Oval racing is really about the small details and just finding a little bit here and there, and just seeing what you can learn from whoever's in front of you or even behind you.
Sounds like consistency is going to try to be the name of the game tonight for those Cardinal Esports drivers. How many of y'all is it in the race tonight? I know you're back from spring break, so a much deserved rest for many of the guys on your team, but how many red BSU machines can we expect to see out on track tonight?
We got our full 6th oval roster team going tonight. Everyone's back in action, and yeah, we're ready to get back to it.
Well, we wish all of you the best of luck out there. Thanks for coming on to our Ignition Zone pre-race show and talking to us for a little bit while we've got you up here. Anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I obviously want to thank my parents, my mom and dad, my brother Kyle, and my girlfriend Emily. They all like to watch from home, and my teammates Ben, Kelton, Alif, Daniel, and Lucas, and yeah, just all of Ball State Esports.
Well, best of luck out there, and hopefully we'll see you back here on the show after the race.
Yeah, hopefully. Thank you.
That was Andrew Stagey, number 88 for Ball State University. We're going to see him, and you heard him say there's 6 Ball State cars out there tonight. And especially here in the FlexWare College Cup Series, strength in numbers helps you out so much when you're out there on track versus 20, 30 other drivers.
Yeah, and I think at a track like Phoenix, where it's gets a little bit cramped because it's not very big compared to what last week was Las Vegas. That track's huge. You got lots of room to run. Out here, you ain't got much room compared to that, so it's going to be having more cars in the field that you're friends with and you know how they drive is definitely going to be a bit of a upper leg because you know what to expect out of the people who you've raced with.
Yeah, especially at a track like Phoenix where we've seen early race and late race chaos strike seemingly out of nowhere. These cars are so twitchy on the short tracks. It takes absolute master skill to drive, especially for 150 laps here at Phoenix. This is going to be a long event in front of these drivers. Hard on the gas, hard on the brakes. You can pretty much race anywhere on this track you want to. So we're going to see a lot of 3, maybe even 4 wide going into some corners, especially on starts and restarts, and a little easier pit road to get onto and get off of. But we're going to see pit strategy possibly come into play as well, like we did last week where we had our first, I believe it was our first flag to flag College Cup Series event in over a season since the championship race in season 8 last summer. So look for pit strategy and look for teamwork to be the key to victory lane tonight. But just another look at the points. A couple of other drivers that are on the outside looking in. Wingate University's Brandon Schulenberger has had an incredible late season resurgence, where he currently is only sitting about 14 points outside of the playoffs right now. Just behind him, Ricky Paz from Valpo University, also having a breakout season. Good to see him have success. Andrew Burrell from Clemson University, Edwin Onofre, both tied on points on their way looking in. And then Nick Stockner, really the last one with a shot to try and point his way into the playoffs. That's another driver right there who has had a phenomenal late season resurgence, and a lot of luck go his way as well.
And when these drivers get a little bit of momentum behind their backs, you can certainly try to see if they get that kind of Cinderella win and lock themselves into the playoffs and kind of shake up the whole of the points standings, as we kind of are so close from the playoffs, and where these drivers are going to have to compete for the CIL Season 10 Cup for their championship. So definitely going to have to keep your eyes out for one of those cars further down to sneak their way into a win and lock themselves in.
Well, we're about ready to get started here at Phoenix with the pre-race. Qualifying, I believe, has just gone underway, but we've got one more thing to do before we sign off for our quick break before we start the race, and that's to make our picks for tonight's win. I believe I am undefeated against John. So, John, you got a week to pull one back possibly. So I'll let you go first in your pick.
Okay, do we want to make a rule no locked-in drivers at least? Is that a rule?
Okay. Dang it, you took my pick. All right, sure, we can do that. Yeah.
But there's 4. I'm gonna go.
Who is gonna win their way into the playoffs tonight?
Who's gonna win their way in? I'm gonna call Zachary DeWale.
All right, choosing Zach DeWale from St. Clair College. Had a great race last week. Ran out of gas in the last corner and lost a P2 finish. But he's looking to maybe turn around that momentum this week. I'm going to go with, it's a hard pick, but I'm going to go with Jason Wallet from Drexel University. Jason had a really good time out last time here at Phoenix. He caught a top 10 finish, and Jason's had some luck and skill go on his side towards the latter half of this season. So I think he can get the job done tonight and win his way in. Now, as for a dark horse pick, this is going to seem a little bit out of left field, but that driver that we talked about who's had a great late season resurgence, I'm picking Nick Stockner from Clemson University. I think he has another really breakout evening tonight.
Yeah, I can see that. I think he's been kind of edging up close there, so I can see how that'd be I don't even want to call it a dark horse. I just think it's a bit it's not as dark horse as you think it is.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah. Like it's like half a dark horse. It's a gray horse.
The the gray horse pick tonight. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be right back with tonight's Leg Dog 150 presented by RMU iRacing live from Phoenix. We'll see y'all in just a few minutes.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Collegiate iRacing League, where tonight we come to you from the deserts of Avondale, Arizona for our Leg Dog 150 presented by Robert Morris University iRacing, live from the virtual Phoenix Raceway. It's the perfect evening for a proper Monday night Flexware College Cup Series fight here in the CIL, and there's a sandstorm a brewing on the West Coast as this is the penultimate race of the Cup Series regular season. We've only had 4 different winners across 8 races thus far, which means that there are still 6 possible spots in the playoffs up for grabs, and a minimum of 4 drivers will be able to earn a bid on points into this season's playoffs in just 2 weeks' time. But even sweeter than pointing your way in is to win your way in, like Jake Cummings, Matthew Morton, Muhammad Alif, and reigning Daytona 250 champ Daniel Nanny have done so far. Will someone else like Drew Williams or Clint Halterman or Jason Wallet or Zach DeWale be able to win and get in tonight? Or will their championship hopes hang in the balance next week at Bristol? We've got 150 miles of racing tonight to settle that question before next week's event. So everybody, welcome to the Leg Dog 150 presented by the Robert Morris University iRacing team. As we're your hosts tonight, Zach Lindler alongside John Dinkle in the booth. And we're going to take you trackside for flag-to-flag coverage of what is going to be a spectacular event this evening, John.
Yeah, super looking forward to this one. Arizona, Phoenix, it's such a non-conformist circuit. So definitely gonna be fun to see how these drivers take on the challenge tonight and how these drivers might try to lock themselves into the CAL College Cup Series playoffs. Only 2 races to go, as I think you mentioned, Bristol next week, and both of which are tracks that are very unique. These drivers are definitely gonna have it cut out for them if they want to make it. So definitely looking forward.
Yeah, Matthew Morton picking up his 3rd win of the season and taking sole possession of the regular season title, possibly with his win at Las Vegas last week. So this race number 2 in our West Coast swing here in the Cup Series. A lot of drivers in the field wanting to get that first win and be able to secure their spot into the playoffs before Bristol next week. I know a lot of drivers have had next week's race circled on their calendar in multiple different colors because it's the last race of the regular season where we're going to cut to our top 10 drivers and declare our playoff eligible drivers. But it's also Bristol. It's chaotic. It's short. It's, to quote Darrell Waltrip, like racing airplanes in a gymnasium. But this track is so unique and particular. It plays into a ton of strengths. It plays into the strengths of a ton of drivers in the field tonight. As we're going to go to our our Google Earth Goodyear blimp cam, you can see this track has a very, very particular shape. You called it, or what did you call it?
Non-conformist.
Non-conformist. Perfect. So yeah, the front stretch, very curved. There's almost like a turn in the middle of the front stretch. You'll hear that called the dog leg, hence the name Leg Dog 150 tonight. But turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 are completely different from each other. Turns 1 and 2 a little bit wider, a lot less banked than turns 3 and 4, which are a little bit narrower and a lot more steep in banking. And that's going to make for some different driving styles tonight. These drivers are going to definitely try and work some strategy to try and figure out where they're better on the track than the guys around them. But also pit road, you can see there 45 miles an hour down pit road. You actually enter on the back stretch instead of the front stretch. So being able to time your pit when you come into pit relative to the leaders is going to mean a lot as to how many laps you're going to go down if we stay green.
Yeah, and I feel like it's another unique feature about this track but also not to discount how wide turns 1 and 2 are. On these restarts, these drivers are going to have a lot of opportunities to make up positions. We've seen it a lot on the real life yesterday when NASCAR took to this circuit. Just the front straight, that dog leg. These cars can stretch out almost like it's Pocono with how wide they can get, almost like 7 wide at some points. So restarts are definitely going to be a point of focus for at least me, I feel. But these cars, as we now get to look at our vehicle analysis, gonna have a bit of fun with how this track is gonna be so dynamic. So
yeah, these giant 3,500-pound Cup cars, 670 horsepower, and a little tiny spoiler on the back of them for the package tonight. A little bit different from the real-life NASCAR package that they just unveiled this past weekend. So I think a lot of things that the drivers may have seen on track in the NASCAR Cup Series this weekend may not apply to the race tonight, since we're still on a little bit of an older setup. But yeah, you mentioned it. The starts and the restarts are going to be absolutely crazy. Race Control, however, has implemented a ban on going below the yellow line on the restart. So when they come to the start-finish line, they have to stay on track. But going into turn 1 and for the rest of the race, all bets are off. You can cut all the way down to that front stretch wall to try and cut the front stretch as short as it possibly can. Or you can run the banking in the middle of the corner or in the middle of the front stretch to try and get as much speed and as good of a run as you can into turn one. So our drivers are going to have a lot of choices to make tonight, every single lap as to where they want to run.
And certainly, as the spotters are also going to have to work in overtime to make sure their drivers are well informed on the locations of their fellow drivers on track.
And I believe qualifying is well underway here. We're actually going to go ahead and look at a qualifying lap around Phoenix just to show you how wild this track is and how it's completely different every 100 feet or so. But we're looking at Zach DeWale here for St. Clair College, that 519 car you can see coming down the backstretch now. This is where you set up the good lap, and these slightly more banked turns 3 and 4, very wide angle of entry. In fact, going to run the top to try and carry as much speed as he can down the front straightaway to start the lap, cutting all the way to the inside wall. As I believe technical difficulties, bear with us, folks.
Very wide,
There he goes.
There, as we can see.
Well, we're going to see a lot more of that during the race, but yeah, a pretty decent, I guess, intro to what we can expect tonight. Very wide exit of turns 3 and 4 to set yourself up for the front stretch. I think a lot of our drivers are going to be running all the way up against the wall, especially when they're on push mode to try and get to the driver in front of them. But you can really run anywhere you want in turns 1 and 2. So you're going to see drivers running a little higher up towards the middle of the corner. You're going to see them all the way at the bottom. You might even see some drivers running the apron right underneath the white line where the banking starts. I know some drivers have done that in seasons past, and it's worked for them. So it's all down to preference and driving style behind the wheel of that car.
Yeah, I feel one of the biggest things to emphasize with turn 2 is the exit. Just try to get the nice run and set yourself up for a overtake into the entry of 3. I think that's going to be one of the hot spots for where overtakes are going to occur. If drivers can get a nice run out of 2 and set themselves up for success and on the back straight.
Well, before we get into tonight's event, we're going to take a quick look at our playoff standings coming into tonight's event. As we said, 4 drivers locked into tonight's race. That would be your championship leader at the moment, Matthew Morton from Ohio State with 3 wins. And then with 2 wins apiece from Ball State, Armahammed Alif and Daniel Nanny. And then with 1 win, it's going to be Jake Cummings from Wingate University. And then the rest of the positions behind them, the next 6, don't have a win yet in this season, and they are currently in on points from UNC Charlotte, Clint Halterman, Charles Wembley from Guilford College, Jason Wallet, Drexel University, Andrew Williams from Clemson University, Zach DeWale from St. Clair College, who we saw in qualifying. And currently the last transfer spot goes to Ryan Whitlock from Alabama Huntsville. And then on the outside looking in, 4 points down, Andrew Stagey, who we talked to during the pre-race show. Brandon Schulenberger is, I believe, 14 points down on the outside looking in. And then Ricky Paz from Valpo University, Andrew Burrell from Clemson, Edwin Onofre from the University of North Texas, all on the outside looking in that top 15, in those last top 15 slots. So if you're on the outside looking in, time's ticking. You're in the pressure chamber. This is where you've got to be perfect. You've got to run your race. You've got to be consistent, and you've got to beat the guys that are in front of you in the standings, unless you're going to try and go for that win.
Yeah, I think especially with I think as I mentioned with these next 2 circles tonight and next week, Phoenix and Bristol respectively, going to be tracks that I think give you the opportunity just because they're so unique. So I think some of these drivers are definitely going to be prioritizing locking themselves in tonight off of a win.
And I believe qualifying has come to an end, so we're going to go into tonight's starting grid for our Leg Dog 150. Take it away, John.
Taking the pole for our race tonight, Clint Halterman from UNC Charlotte will be starting alongside our reigning champion Matthew Morton from Ohio State University. Row 2, R. Muhammad Ali from Ball State University starts alongside Andrew Williams, one of their Clemson machines. Row 3, a Ball State lockout, Daniel Nanny in number 30 alongside our interviewee in a pre-race show, Andrew Stady. Row 4, our fourth Ball State car, Lucas Moody, going to be starting alongside my pick for tonight, Zachary DeWitt. Ryan Whitlock from University of Alabama Huntsville was starting alongside Logan Smith from Auburn University in row 5.
Looking at the second 10 cars, row number 6, Charles Wembley from Guilford College will start to the inside of Brandon Schulenberger from Wingate. Row 7, Austin DeLong from the Penn College of Technology, and Jason Wallet, my pick for tonight, rolling off in that 14th position. 15th goes to Landon Velicky from Auburn University. To his outside, Edwin Onofre from the University of North Texas. Row number 9, Nick Stockner from Clemson University and Ben Neller from Ball State. And row number 10, Kelton Quick from Ball State and Thomas Toomey from the University of Virginia. And looking at the rest of the field, the pace car has already come off, but these drivers do have a long way to go around this track before they hit the start zone. To get up, get loud, and support your driver. They can hear you through those screens. Who is going to try and lock their way into the playoffs tonight? A ton of potential championship winners in the top 5 of this event. Clint Halterman hits the start zone. Barney throws the green, and we are racing in the desert at Phoenix. And Matthew Morton has gotten around Clint Halterman to take the lead of this race, but it's a hornet's nest behind them inside the top 5. Muhammad Alif already losing out on positions as Daniel Nanny and Drew Williams make contact. The caution comes out behind him, and the big one strikes early at Phoenix. What in the world happened there?
Looks like Daniel Nanny just got a little bit loose on the entry of 2 and washed up into Andrew Williams. It seems like Clint Halterman, I believe, also happened to get loose at the exact same time. So I'm going to have to take a peek when we get to the replay. But that was a very interesting incident on lap number 2. Not quite sure how it transpired.
It seemed like a lot of drivers were really struggling getting the car slowed down into turn 1, and there you see possible steering damage for Daniel Nanny in that 30 car as that thing's struggling to get pointed straight. But already caution on lap number 2 of this event. You see some cars coming down pit road. I believe that is Nick Stockner who is leading that pack down pit road. He picked up some damage. Brandon Schulenberger also involved there. You see Andrew Burrell behind him. I believe that's Ricky Paz and Penn College of Technology car coming, or excuse me, that's Hunter Haddisty leading that pack down pit road. Excuse me.
Maybe your luck's falling apart because now both my pick is looking good, but both of yours actually are currently sitting on pit road. So I think you commentators cursed it.
Apologies in advance. Yeah, Williams has come down pit road as well. You see that 123 car sitting in his pit stall. Looks like he's going to get some minor repairs and get that car back out on track. But chaos striking early at the front of the field in this race. And I don't think that's anything anybody had. I don't think that's something anybody had on their bingo cards coming into tonight's event, was the wreck being so early and at the front of the field.
Yeah, it just seemed like a really odd incident, but we're going to get to see the replay here. I think our camera is currently focused on the 19 of Ricky Paz, if I'm not mistaken. Oh.
So that's what brought out the caution.
Yeah, it looks like further back in the field. Yeah, that Ricky Paz lost on the approach into 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not really. So that was what actually brought out the caution was the 19 going around. But I want to see. Wonder if maybe we can get a replay of the contact at the front of the field between the 30 and the 123. But it looks like we are already gridded up and ready to go. Clint Halterman was able to take that second position back amidst the chaos. Muhammad Alif up to third. Andrew Stagey will start to the inside of him. Charles Wembley up to fifth now. So a great race start for him, up from 10th. Although with that chaos at the start too will help him. But Matthew Morton is going to be the control car. It's a little do-si-do here on the front row in those first couple laps, as it looks like the outside line might be preferred here. Clint Halterman is going to keep that in mind as they roll up to the Geico restart zone. Barney's got the green flag in hand. Morton hits the gas, and we're racing again at Phoenix. And how about a great race start from Landon Velicky in Auburn, who started towards the back of the top 20 and is now inside the top 10.
Yeah, we can see this sort of multi-wide, multi-groove action, routes 3 and 4. But yeah, what a start for Landon Velicky. I not too familiar with the name, so definitely I think one we're gonna have to watch as they develop in the CIL for the rest of the season.
Yeah, him and his teammate Logan Smith from Auburn registered at the beginning of the season, but missed out on a few races as the caution comes out on lap 8 once again. Oh, no. So, I'm so sorry, Logan. That is an Auburn car with damage coming down pit road. So, commentator's curse number 2 tonight. John, I think we just need to shut up and let the race speak for itself at this point.
But yeah, let's just do a perpetual crank it up. How about that, Christian?
So, as we, the commentators, go 2 for 2 on curses tonight, the caution comes out on lap 8 of 150. Matthew Morton did retain the lead through that restart, so maybe at the race start, Clint Halterman getting caught with his pants down when the green flag came out to be able to be passed by Matt Morton. But we are going to take a look at what happened, and yeah, the 34 loose out of turn 2. Or excuse me, turn 3 and 4. No, it was turn 2. I was right. And Daniel Nanny, you can see. Oh,
I'm not too
Daniel
sure
Nanny's
if that
struggling with
was
that car, but
net code. That seems like it had been too big of a gap for some internet troubles. But yeah, very odd incident. I don't think it should be too bad of a damage, so I think they should be able to get it back out there and back underway. So hopefully not the end of the night for Logan Smith, but definitely not better than wanted it to go.
almost looks like he got a little bit loose in the dog leg down there. And then iRacing thought that he hit the 19 of Ricky Paz. But that might be up there among some of the worst netcode I've seen this season. So unfortunate circumstances strike early for that Auburn team that we were just talking about right before that wreck. But Matthew Morton able to retain the lead during that short little green flag sequence. Still too early in the race for our drivers to consider pit stops at this point.
Yeah, but Matthew Morton seems to have a lock on these restarts. I think it's been kind of throughout the whole season that Matthew Morton has just been the king of getting off perfectly whenever leading, or if he's in second, he always stays alongside whoever's got the control. I think that restart is like do a case study on that, just how massive of a gap they were able to develop by the time they entered turn 1. And when you're that far ahead, you kind of are just safe. You don't have to worry about someone shoving up your inside or trying to pull some cheeky move as they try to take the lead away. kind of just you can run your own line, run what's comfortable to you, with no concern about where other cars are.
And the leader does get to control when they go on the restart as well. So the number one car in that number one position, when they get to the Geico restart zone, you're going to see that little blue box on the inside of the track that lets the drivers know when they can restart. Whenever the driver is inside that box, they can hit the gas at any point before they get to the start finish line. If the lead car hits the end of that restart zone and they have not hit the gas yet, then the flag stand, our flagman Barney, will then start the race. So it's kind of a leader's advantage, a privilege that they get for being the leader coming into the restart, that they get to determine when the race starts and they're able to get a jump on the rest of the field. But you see Ball State's R. Muhammad Alif picked up a couple positions there. He's now on the outside of the front row. So we've had 3 starts and restarts and 3 different front row combinations, but for 2 of them, Matt Morton has been the control car. As you see the pace car pull left onto pit road on the backstretch, these drivers are going to make the long, agonizing trip down the back straightaway and through turns 3 and 4 before they have to go back racing. But Matthew Morton, the control car, Alif to his outside. Charles Wembley with a head of steam at the bottom of that second row. Clint Halterman to his outside, and the 22 of Austin DeLong and Nick Stockner round out the first 3 rows as we go back to racing here at Phoenix. Single file in our top 8-9 drivers, but it's a hornet's nest behind them as we're going to be 4 wide going into turn 1. Are they going to make it work? No, they're not. It's chaos behind him, and Andrew Stagey's going to get the worst of it as a couple of orange cars clobber the wall just behind them. There's Thomas Toomey also involved. Caution number 3 out on lap 14.
Yeah, Zach Doyle, I believe, is also involved in that. So that's actually all of our picks have been involved in since now. Again, can we bring up that idea? Can we just regular?
This is just not a good night for us.
Yeah, there's going to be a poll in the Discord. Just say, hey, get the casters to just not say any names.
This is how we get banned from the league. Floating TV is not going to be invited to cast any more CIL races if we keep this up.
Yeah, that incident, we saw it unfolding as the camera panned around, and lots of cars involved here. Andrew, or Nanny, I believe, was now is involved in their second incident. Thankfully, not as much damage as the previous incident, it seems, but we're going to see how this transpired here. Look, Zachary DeWale on the outside here. On the outside of Edward and Nofre, but we can see in front of them Andrew Stagey gets tapped by one of the Auburn cars.
So this is actually going to unfold down the front stretch. This was coming into turn 1. We saw for a moment they were 4 wide, but we're going to see the setup of how this happened. So there you see the 519. Oh goodness. It was a run from Williams. He stuffed it up the inside of Edwin Onofre, who was, I don't think he realized there were 2 more cars to the outside of him, but he bumps the 519 into the 88, and it was just on from there. The 79 of Ben Neller, 166 of Thomas Toomey, Jason Wallet just barely keeping it off the wall there. And I think he saved it. What great hands from the driver of that 76 Drexel car.
Yeah. Pure chaos of what happened there. I think if we can get a POV of Jason Willott there, that would be a fantastic thing to see. Just sitting here behind this 4 wide that we're going to see come up here between Stagey and Williams on the inside.
Yeah, it's just too early in the race for those kinds of moves, but what great driving and car control from Jason Wallet to keep that thing out of the wall. And from hitting anybody in that incident in front of him. I think we got an early contender for move of the race right there.
Yeah, I think I concur with you right there. At least so far, that was one hell of a save to minimize the damage. And I don't even think they pitted because you can see him in P13 held plenty of other drivers who I don't think were involved. Colton Quick, Bill Godinez. So Jason Willott, what a save to keep that Drexel University machine unscathed and keep themselves in a pretty good position to score some good points tonight.
Under our third caution of the evening on lap 17 of 150 in tonight's Leg Dog 150 presented by Robert Morris University iRacing. Already we've seen Phoenix. This has been the boogeyman track this year already. These drivers are really struggling to balance the aggression with just how this track races. It's heavy braking zones all the way around. It's, the open dog leg on the front stretch where you can use any piece of real estate on the front stretch that you find that's available. And sometimes, like we saw just a couple moments ago, you run out of room. But these drivers are gridded up again 2 by 2 before you. As you see on the screen, the pace car has pulled off onto pit road. Benny, the pace car driver, has been fired, and they have rehired Fred. So we have Barney and Fred at the helm of tonight's race. Do with that what you will. But Charles Wembley has worked his way into that front row. So we are 4 for 4 on different front rows as we ride on board with Clint Halterman for the green flag. We're back to racing at Phoenix. And you can see just how much is happening on track for these drivers during a restart. You're getting attacked from a front, you're getting defended in front, attacked from behind, as Clinton Halterman is in the 4th position, trying to worry about getting around these drivers up in front of him to try and secure his way into the College Cup Series playoffs this fall with a win. But he's got a very, very hungry Nick Stockner just behind him, and that Clemson car looks quick.
Yeah, I mean, as you take a look behind him right now, we can see just how spread out laterally these cars can get throughout turns 1 and 2. We saw it build on the restart. But yeah, Clinton Halterman trying to use a different lane to keep that clean air in front of him and that nose nice and planted on the track to try to keep their track position against a charging Muhammad Ali behind him.
As we almost were 3 wide once again, Drew Williams making a couple passes there on Landon Veliky on the high side. Brandon Schulenberger just below him is going to be able to retain that last spot in the top 10. But Jason Wallet in the 199 of Edwin Onofre just behind them, 2 drivers that have had a pretty decent string of finishes over the past couple of weeks. They're hungry for more positions in their fight to potentially get into the playoffs.
I think we see the general consensus as Williams gets a bit of an oversteer moment going through turn number 1 there. It seems like the front straight consensus is to use as much of that apron and trim away as much distance on the circuit. As you can see, we focus on that battle between Sanchez, Williams, and Schulenberger here. Let's see how far down they go to cut that track. Sanchez actually stays a bit high, but yeah, pretty much every car puts at least a little bit, if not the entire vehicle below that yellow line. Which I think we talked about a little bit in the pre-race show. That is fully legal to do at a track like Phoenix. Go so low, just has an extra dynamic since you have so much width to take advantage of on the circuit.
Yep, no such thing as track limits here in the FlexWare College Cup Series, especially at a track like this where you have so much real estate on the front stretch, you might as well use it. But Williams right now being absolutely hounded by the 7, that Bulldog number 7, of Brandon Schulenberger for Wingate, but he's leading. Edward Sanchez right now just in front of them for Baruch College is leading the short little train of cars battling for the 8th position. Lucas Moody just in front of them battling Austin DeLong Both of those cars inside the top 10. Austin DeLong having a really good start to tonight's race for the Penn College of Technology. But interesting that Schulenberger on the front stretch has been running about a half a lane higher than Williams. Really from turn 4 all the way down the back, all the way to the back stretch, Schulenberger has been running about a half a lane higher than Williams. I wonder why that would be.
I think often you see these cars try to do the half lane to get at least a little bit of clean air on that front splitter, on the front bumper, to while you're in the corners, just get a little bit of extra downforce. So I think you can see he's right behind Andrew Williams there, almost trying to give him bump draft mid-corner, but it's just get a little bit of extra downforce while staying in the lane that you feel most comfortable with. It's like a optimization problem. You just got to get the best part of clean air and best part of the line you prefer.
Yeah, so what we mean by clean air, when you're driving behind the car in front of you, the car in front of you is punching a hole in the air. Well, the air has to have somewhere to go once the car passes. So it's basically creating a vortex behind the car that's going to suck you closer into it for the draft. But at the same time, it's really, 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 what's the word? Turbulent air behind that car, which combined with the lower air pressure, the turbulent wind behind the car in front of you, that's going to make it really, really hard for you to find front wheel grip coming through the corner. But not so much at a track like Phoenix in the corners, but on that front stretch where you're going about 140, 150 miles an hour, maybe even 160 by the time you get to that dog leg. It's gonna make a ton of difference when you're transitioning from the banking of the front stretch all the way down onto the flat part and back up onto that banking, as we see the 26 of Edward Sanchez really struggling right now to have some long run grip, as he's been passed by William Schulenberger and Wallet to fall out of the top 10. And now here comes the 199 of Thomas Toomey trying to get around Sanchez.
Thomas Toomey challenging on the Edward Sanchez now. Edward Sanchez finally choosing to conform to the rest of the masses and take that cut line on that dog leg and go below the yellow line. But Toomey, that blacked out Toyota Camry, kind of matching with that night sky. It's like camouflage. Gonna go on the outside through 3 and 4 here. Maybe get a run as onto the dog leg. I think he's gonna have a bit of momentum as we go into the front straight here. And now that both, this is a bit of a unique strategy of trying to kind of confuse somebody, I think, with kind of being able to run both lines. So you can kind of pick up high, pick up low, and rob the air away from someone as they try to push on you.
Here you see the two different lines right here. Thomas Toomey electing to run that lower line, taking the shorter way around turns 3 and 4. Sanchez ran about a half a lane up, or a full lane up through 3 and 4, so he took the speed advantage and the momentum to come down the front straightaway. And you see just how it balances out, but Sanchez washes up the corner on entry just a little bit into turn 1. That opened the door for just a moment for Thomas Toomey, but now Toomey's got a sniff of that position for 11th position. And that's going to make him even hungrier for it, as both of these two fighting has now let Edwin Onofre into the mix. Looking back up towards the front, Matthew Morton has pulled away to about an 0.8 of a second gap over Charles Wembley, who's defending the second position right now from the 077 of Clinton Halterman. This is Guilford College. We're trying to defend this position against UNC Charlotte. Halterman, and neither Halterman nor Wembley have locked themselves yet into the playoffs. So both of these drivers trying to find that first win of the season to put their minds at rest before Bristol next week and to lock themselves into the Flexware College Cup Series playoffs in just 2 weeks' time. Just behind them are Muhammad Alif, another playoff driver, or a driver who has been locked in for a few weeks now since the Roval race about a month ago. And the leader of this race, Matthew Morton, with 3 wins to his name this season. He is the front runner right now for the regular season championship.
Yeah, our reigning College Cup Series champion, Matthew Morton, just kind of schooling the field right now, both on the restarts and just with general pace. But Definitely still lots of racing to go as we're not even past 1/3 distance yet. So definitely time for strategy to take hold, for dynamics of cautions as I just
Oh no, that's my
Jason
pick. Jason
Watt.
Wallet around.
Looks like he lost outside of turn 4. Not quite sure how yet. So we'll get a, if you give us a second, we'll get the replay going on how that happened to occur. But yeah, very weird place to lose it for our oversteer. So I believe there would have been a car involved on this incident.
And I wonder if he maybe had some help. So he's in the back of this pack battling for position. Oh, Schulenberger and Moody. Oh, Moody hard into the wall after making contact, and Jason Wallet
Just barely
just
staying
happened
out
to
the
be in the
barrier, yeah.
wrong place at the wrong time. But another great save from that 76 Drexel driver to keep that car out of the wall and to keep his hopes for tonight alive. But man, that 13 took a hard hit. Watch this unfold in front of you. Golly.
Yeah, that's a rough one. Lots of damage going to be on that Ball State machine as we now ride on board here as in turn 4. It's just faintest tap from the Wingate machine and
Yeah, there's going to be some pretty significant damage on the front of that Ball State car. As you see, everybody's coming down pit road now. We got 37 laps on that set of tires, and it is now high time to come and get 4 fresh sets of Goodyear rubber. Matthew Morton going to win the race off of pit road. It's a dead heat for second and fourth. Who got those positions? It looks like the timing tower has given second to Clint Halterman and fourth to Nick Stockner, but 2 drag races off of pit road inside the top 5.
yeah, our pulls that are looking out, getting that additional position, going to be on the front row, sharing it with Morton, who still commands the lead after that pit cycle. Looks like Stockner had the advantage against a Leaf and is going to maintain that 4th position. I believe he had before the pit stops occurred. So, yeah, some
I
shaking
believe
up
he
here
was
with the pit stops.
Yeah, he was running 5th when he came down pit road, so he was able to leapfrog a Leaf, and he's got his teammate Drew Williams behind him for this restart. So that Clemson pairing is going to be dangerous to work to try and defend against on this restart.
And we could see an Orange Wheel gang try to do some bump drafting or something to maybe steal a bit of positions from Wembley, currently in the 3rd position. So you're gonna have to definitely see how this unfolds. They are going to be on the outside though, so can't shoot so far down the dog legs to take in positions. But definitely going to be a bit of a dynamic I want to keep my eyes on.
Well, I think we've seen where the outside is just a little bit better on these restarts. Obviously, the leader starting on the inside, not much of a choice they get for that, just due to iRacing not yet implementing the choose cone rules. But it doesn't really matter all that much for the leader. You got the jump on the rest of the field. But if you're the cars in those first couple rows behind, you're trying to jockey for every single position that you can, especially if you're Halterman, Wembley, or Stockner looking for that first win of the season to lock yourself into the playoffs in just a couple weeks' time. As we got 3 waiver rounds at the front of the field right before we go to grid up 2 by 2 to get back to racing once again.
Yeah, some very critical waiver rounds for some of the drivers who have been caught a bit unfortunate with these incidents, that they can get a lap back or at least some track position back and possibly fight their way back into this race if they can make their way back into the lead lap. But I think Fred is going to dive down into pit road, but we still got a little bit to go before we get back underway. Matthew Morton currently on the lead. The control car back in the green in just a second.
Fred, the pace car driver, has taken that car down pit road, and we are once again 2 by 2 for the restart. Matthew Morton, Clint Halterman, Charles Wembley, Nick Stockner, the top 2 rows as Morton hits the gas in the restart zone, and we're back to racing here at Phoenix. Stockner loses it on the front stretch, hard into the wall, collects the 22 of Austin DeLong, and the caution comes out again. What in the world happened there for the 124 machine?
The abrupt jump in the steam where the apron becomes the track, I think, might have caught Stockner off guard there and given him a bit of an oversteer moment and took him to the wall. But yeah, that's a bizarre incident right there. And really going to take a peek at what happened there on the restart. Currently on the outside of Muhammad Alif out of turn number 4. Going to take a bit.
Did he have help from the 12 of Alif? I don't know that Alif was anywhere near him, but you see Stockner on the outside of turn 4. He's going to dive to the inside here. And it was right where that transition back onto the banked section of the front stretch. The car completely slipped out from underneath him.
Yeah, that's quite the damage of. That's quite a lot of damage that Nick Stockner would have collected there. I think number 2, I believe that's Kelton Quick, was also involved, although it would be only slightly being collected from the 22 Penn College Technology Camaro. So lots of damage for Stockner there. Had to tow back to pit lane, so I believe that might be their night done. Very unfortunate, as now he gets a ride alongside on board from Nick Stockner's perspective, and yeah, just right as he got in the apron, just collected a bunch of oversteer and couldn't save it.
We're going to ride on board with Austin DeLong here as well and watch all this unfold just in front of him. There you see the 124 get sideways and just, wrong place at the wrong time for the 22. And that's the kind of luck this season that Stockner was celebrating getting over last week. He had a phenomenal run at Vegas, but that bad luck comes back to bite once again as you see that car junked on pit road, and I believe that is going to be Stockner's night done and dusted, unfortunately.
Finishing lap number 45, currently under caution for, I want to say, the 5th time tonight.
Sounds about right.
Morton still at the head. Clint Halterman was able to keep his position ahead of Charles Wembley from Guilford College. So aside from Stockner, I think everything is about as it was last time we restarted the race. So no one's going to come down pit road for a strategic stop. At least I hope not. But let's take a peek at our FlowTick TV race analysis for Phoenix Raceway. It's 1 mile circuit, so 150 laps for 150 miles, 45 miles per hour forward pit road speed. So quite a slow pit road, a lot of speed you have to scrub off to prevent getting a penalty. 4 tire sets these drivers are going to have available to choose throughout the course of the event, as I think the lights on the pace car are going to go out. So we're going to get right back underway in just a moment. It says we have 4 green white checkered attempts and an estimated fuel window for the strategists up in the booths of each of these teams, about 90 to 95 laps. So we're still quite shy on that. If a lot of these drivers pitted earlier on in the previous caution, so definitely not getting the full lifespan of these fuel tanks so far. But we could see that if we get a nice green flag run going.
Yeah, we've got about 10 more laps before these drivers can confidently make it to the end of the race on fuel. Now, tires are a completely different story, but that is the strategist call and not ours, as these drivers are going to approach the 1/3 of the way mark just shortly after this restart. Matthew Morton, once again, the control car. He's led every single thus far this race. And he's going to hit the Geico restart zone. Barney throws the green flag, and we are back to racing once again at Phoenix. Business as usual inside the top 5 after a restart. Matthew Morton sole possession of the lead, but the battle for those second, third, fourth, and fifth places are continuing to heat up as Williams now into the wall. He got right hooked into the wall. Dylan Gadina has collected. Jason Wallet, Andrew Burrell. Burrell might be able to sneak his way through. No, he thinks better of it and backs out. But caution number 7 of the evening coming out on lap 49.
Disaster for Clemson here. Losing their other driver, Nick Stockner, or at least another driver in Nick Stockner just a couple laps ago. Bring out the previous caution, and now Andrew Williams is going to have to bring it along pit road. You're going to be able to drive it there, but that car has a lot of damage collected from this accident, and Clemson is not your night.
Yeah, Clemson fans, look away. This is not a good race for you. It was going so well. 2 cars inside the top 6, and now they are both out of the race within just a couple of laps. And for pretty much virtually the same incident, as we take a look at the replay of what happened to the 123, you can see battling to try and stay inside the top 5 to take those positions away. Williams looking for his first win of the season, and man, just loses it on entry, collects the 808. The 76 got involved. Actually, the 121 of Burrell punted the 76 through the incident site. So all of those drivers picking up some pretty significant damage, but Williams definitely taking the worst into that bit.
It's right alongside Burrell here on the roof of their 121 Ford Mustang. Quite removed from the initial accident. It's way up the road, blocked by the 519 of Zachary DeWale. Just locks up the tires and boom. Yeah, just a lesson in coefficients of elasticity, it seems right there, but definitely not.
Physics teachers take note.
If I see that on my homework, I'm gonna flip, and I'm not taking physics, but
yeah. Producer Christian's in the background making physics problems. If you have car A traveling at 50 miles an hour and car B traveling at 80 miles an hour. Caution number 7 on lap 51, now 52 of this race. The 2 most recent ones brought out by Clemson cars in very eerily similar ways. Both of those cars just almost right hooking themselves into the wall. So unfortunate for both of those drivers, as they were both chasing their first wins of the season and their first wins in the College Cup Series on the next gen side. Just a really, really unfortunate way for those nights to end.
Yeah, both those accidents kind of not identical, but both I think were kind of triggered in a very similar way from oversteer moments. One through the rough seam from the apron to the track in the dogleg, and then another that seemed to be just I don't want to say worn tires, but just catching a bit of oversteer into turn number 1 and overcorrection. So might be a setup problem, or I believe these are fixed setups. If I'm correct, please correct me on that.
Yes,
These are fixed setups in the College Cup Series. So these drivers have to adapt to what's been given to them through the fixed setup, and I think in that case it was just oversteer, and drivers had to make changes that they weren't used to. So unfortunate end for both those Clemson machines tonight.
Yeah, the sandstorm in the desert has chewed up a lot of cars here in the first third of this race, but we are now officially past the 1/3 mark, and Matthew Morton is still the leader. He has dominated this race so far, despite all the cautions and all the restarts. But as you mentioned it, Matthew Morton, the master of the restart, is continuing to get the job done, as it's Clint Halterman to his outside, R. Muhammad Alif, Charles Wembley just behind them, and then Edwin Onofre for UNT has snuck his way up inside the top 5 as we go back to racing once again at Phoenix. Look at this 3-wide action. That's Edward Sanchez to the inside of Brandon Schulenberger and Landon Veliky, as Schulenberger is going to make off with both of those positions in one corner, but here comes Sanchez looking back to the inside to try and take that position back.
Yeah, lots of these drivers further back trying to take the most they can out of these restarts here, thanks to the bunching up the field and try to get some extra points as our regular season is starting to wane to its ending and the playoffs are rearing their ugly head. Their beginning, I guess. Not, I don't want to call it ugly, but it's super close, and these drivers want to get all the points they can to try to make their way in, and restarts are one of the best chances they get to take that, take what they can get.
Yep, the road to the championship starts in the regular season. As who is going to have the best car to try and win tonight's race? Who's going to be the most aggressive on these race restarts to try and take as many positions as they can? That's going to go to that's going to go the way of the 7 of Brandon Schulenberger right now. That car is a rocket on short-term pace. But if this green flag stint continues, look for him to maybe fall off just a little bit as he's using up a ton of those Goodyear tires, taking away, I believe that is +5 positions for him since the green flag flew just a couple laps ago. But this is a hornet's nest battle right now for the 7th position. Zach DeWale trying to work his way around all of these cars. That's DeWale to the inside of the 88 of Andrew Stagey. And then just behind them, Landon Veliky and Edward Sanchez working his way back up inside the top 10 as we're going to ride on board with Zach DeWale here for a couple laps. You can see cool, calm, and collected inside that cockpit for that St. Clair car. Try saying that 5 times fast. But a disastrous ending to last week's race that we saw live on the broadcast. Hands on his head in disbelief, complete shock on his face, but look at that smile this week. He's out there having fun. He knows what's on the line, too. There's a possible spot in the Flexware College Cup Series playoffs, and he is doing everything he can to try and get up to the front of the field to score as many points as he can for both himself and his school, as well as possibly try and challenge for the win. But right now, it looks like Matthew Morton is just untouchable up there at the front of the field.
Yeah, his ability to get off the line in each of these restarts seems to be unparalleled with any of the other drivers in this field. He gets to like 2 car lengths before the entry of turn 1, so definitely something that I feel like some of these drivers need to study. But Halterman isn't going to let him run off into the night. He is only a couple tenths back and is studying Morton right here to try to see where he can make some extra time and challenge for the win of this race and lock him into the playoffs.
And these two drivers, the more I think about it, the more I want to give them a rivalry chip, because the 1 and the 077 have just been right on each other's bumpers pretty much the entire season since Auto Club. You know, when we interview our drivers at the end of the race, our top 3, Halterman and Morton just always seem to be there. So these two really know these two have really got this league under control. But Halterman still has yet to find that first win this season. Matthew Morton has got 3 of them. Clint Halterman, I think, has more third-place finishes so far this season than anybody else in the league, and he is really looking to try and end that streak with his win as he runs a pretty poor lap right there. Actually falls 6 tenths to Morton that time by.
Yeah, plenty of racing to go. Definitely could see some strategy divergence, as I do believe pretty much the whole field is going to have to pit again, thanks to the fuel restriction or the fuel consideration. There's not enough fuel in these tanks to get to the end. So could see some divergence. People pitting earlier, getting the fresh tires, doing an undercut. Some of these drivers might try an overcut, but lots of racing to go. Halterman might just be playing for a different strategy here.
Yeah, the only pit stops in this race happened during the caution on lap 47. Fuel window goes about 90 laps here, so these drivers are in the window to possibly make it to the end of the race, but all of them are going to be just short unless we have a wild number of cautions from here on out. I think right now it's going to be really close, but I don't think anybody's going to be able to make it to the end.
I'll welcome somebody to try it just to see.
So
It's-
someone's going to shoot the moon. Don't tempt them because someone's going to do it.
then you can't tempt me to tempt them by saying that. Where's the line? Shoot for the
All right,
moon.
I'll
and
give
hit the
I'll give it
stars?
to you. I'll give it to you. I'll be impressed if somebody can pull it off.
Yeah, on a night like this, and moon's gonna be super visible. If I mean, we don't see it. None of the cameras point to the sky. We want to be on the action, not on the boring sky. But yeah,
Well, it is a beautiful desert night out here in the virtual Phoenix. We're nestled in between the Gila River and the Australia Mountains, just to the south. It's a beautiful racetrack out here in the desert, hot and slick, and it has made for a difficult challenge for our drivers tonight, as we've had 7 cautions in the first 68 laps of this race. As we are about to hit lap number 69 of 150. There you see pitch black in the desert around this track. Nothing for a couple of miles until you get to downtown Phoenix. But when the sun goes down, the action on track heats up, and especially with the playoffs looming on the line, tonight's Leg Dog 150, presented by Robert Morris University iRacing, has made for a phenomenal show, and just how intense and aggressive these drivers are tonight.
getting a nice run in here. Lots of these drivers, I think, getting to the point where they just want to run some good laps and feel the track out. So definitely liking how these drivers are taking lines now. Lots of single file stuff to just kind of get used to the traffic, while Halterman gets a bit flustered behind some traffic there. If we can get a camera on who that was that they have to pass here. I want to say it was the 22 of DeLong. Looked like it was a sky blue car there. Yeah, it was Austin DeLong. That a lap down now that the leaders have passed that Pennsylvania College of Technology machine. Had some damage from an earlier incident, so he's just running laps down to score some extra points.
So that 22 car has come back out on track. It picked up some heavy damage in an incident just about 20 or so laps ago. But good to see DeLong back. They got that car fixed and back out on track for the Penn College of Technology. But just knocking on the door of halfway through this race tonight, Matthew Morton, the leader, with a 1.5, now 1.6 second lead over second place Clint Halterman, who has 2 seconds over third place Muhammad Alif. Then behind them, Charles Wembley from Guilford College, looking for his first win of the season and his first win in the College Cup Series. Brandon Schulenberger for Wingate, having a phenomenal race tonight, running 5th. Zach DeWale rebounding from his disastrous finish last week to run 6th right now at the moment. Edwin Onofre also having a great week for University of North Texas in 7th. 8th right now goes to Andrew Stagey, who is having a phenomenal race despite being involved in a couple of incidents. We talked to him at the start of the show, and he mentioned how his key to success tonight was going to be consistency. Well, consistency is rewarding him right now at the top 10 spot. Edward Sanchez for Baruch College running 9th. Also involved in a couple incidents tonight. Good to see that car still out there running. And Thomas Toomey from Virginia University is going to round out the top 10 as we are now officially halfway through tonight's Leg Dog 150. What do you say we go ahead and talk to a couple of our drivers at the moment? First up is going to be Lucas Moody from Ball State University. We're also going to bring Ricky Paz in. I know, Ricky, you're in the car right now, so Lucas out of the race, but Ricky is still in the race at the moment. Welcome to the broadcast booth, both of you guys. We've seen the chaos so far tonight. What is it like out there on track?
Do you want to go first, Rick, or me?
You go for it.
All right. It's chaos. Yeah, you're right, Lindner. It's fun. You know, you got that mile long. It's it's not the quickest mile long. You know, like you have to slow down a lot for turns 1 and 2, slow down a lot for 3 and 4. The dog leg's flat. But yeah, it's created a lot of incidents tonight. The setup is very snappy, so is the track. So if you try to correct any oversteer you have, you're basically straight into the wall, which is what happened to me, unfortunately. But yeah, it was fun while it lasted, and we had some good racing out there.
It's pretty disastrous out there. You know, our Valpo team works pretty hard. We've been missing Ethan the last couple of weeks, but we worked really hard to try and have a good finish today. It didn't work out. We ended up getting wrecked by a Ball State car, not Lucas Moody's. So one of the cars that's still on track, and you know, that's racing, I guess. So we'll go to next week at Bristol, and Lucas and I are both in a must-win situation, is what it sounds like. So we'll be having a good battle on TV time. But for now, just getting on that iRacing grind, doing some official races, because what better way to feel better about yourself after getting wrecked with something that's not your fault than jumping in a super formula race? You know what I'm saying?
And that was going to be my next question. I misspoke. Ethan, you're also out of this race, but I saw you driving, so I was wondering why you were taking some right turns racing super formula since season 2 just came out today on iRacing. But yeah, both of you now in must-win situations going into Bristol next week. What is that going to mean for how you approach our race next week to try and get into the playoffs?
Like, for me, same mentality that I put into Montreal. Montreal was kind of that must-win situation for me. It was the last road course that we went to, and of course, I didn't think Matthew was going to show up. And if Alif was the quickest and I was able to come right behind him, we would have done a driver swap. So I'm going to take the same mentality I put into Montreal and Bristol, where I'm going to practice a crap load. I'm going to put a lot of work into the track, and just Bristol is a lot about accident avoidance. So really qualifying up front and not getting hits, because since it's a 15-second lap, and accidents are bound to happen. I mean, it's going to be more chaotic than Phoenix, right? You got 28 seconds around the lap to avoid it. But here, you only got 15 seconds, and the track is super small. I mean, it's about as wide as the Coliseum. So putting a lot of practice and just hope we can come out on top.
I will say for us at Valpo, we'll be hitting the sim this week for sure. We've had an alliance with Alif and the Ball State guys for a little bit, so we'll probably practice a little bit together. But as soon as race on Monday comes, it'll be all gloves off, and may the best man win. Just try and do something crazy strategy-wise, not on the track-wise, and we'll see how it goes.
Well, thanks to both of you for joining us mid-race here for a quick update. Best of luck to both of y'all next week in your preparations for Bristol. I know, Ricky, you said y'all were going to hit the sim a ton to get those laps in. So best of luck this week in your preparations, and best of luck next week at Bristol as well.
Thank you all. Enjoy the rest of the race, guys.
And from Valpo University, that was Ricky Paz, as well as from Ball State, Lucas Moody, both joining us mid-race for a quick interview update. Got about 10 laps knocked out during that time, working on lap 85 of 150 in tonight's Leg Dog 150. And it looks like there's a couple battles out here heating up on track.
Yeah, I would see Wembley under threat from Schellenberger and DeWale right here as they get on the back straight here, going to enter turn number 3. See a bit of divergence here with Schellenberger really liking that low line, and Wembley from about a lane up from Schellenberger's line. Both getting a nice amount of clean air, not disturbed from a car in front. And then DeWale just picking the line that I guess is from whoever's in front, just to minimize that drag that comes from the car in front.
Yeah, Charles Wembley.
Sorry.
Charles Wembley sitting above the cut line to make it into the playoffs on points, but only by 7 points. It is extremely tight among our top drivers as to who is going to be able to point their way in. So that 37 car with a big wiggle going into turn 1 and washes up the track. He's going to look for every position that he can to score as many points as possible. And the 7 does a great job right there, capitalizing on that mistake from from Wembley, but can't quite get the job done. But if you're the 7, so the 519 and the 37, I've got them as in the playoffs right now as it is coming into this race. But that number 7 of Schulenberger is on the outside looking in by about 14 points. So he's got a pretty decent job to do. He's got a pretty decent task ahead of him to try and point his way in, but he is going to be hungry for that first win. You can see just how aggressive he is on the brakes trying to get around that 37 car. And now here's the huge near miss right there against the number 7. He dives all the way down to the bottom of the front stretch. He's going to get the position away from the 7, and here's the charge on the 37 of Wembley.
Absolutely massive run thanks to the 22 holding the outside away. Just got a massive run of momentum on the number 7 thanks to that traffic being taking out the exit. Wasn't able to get enough to take out Charles Wembley's position, but definitely gonna be able to threaten that now that they're behind the fourth position car.
And Brandon Schulenberger is going to wonder where all that went wrong, but still a lot of racing left in tonight's race. 61 laps left to go in tonight's event. Now 60 to go at the line. So he's got a lot of time to try and make these next 2 passes to work his way up into that 4th place position. But we still have at least 1 pit stop to go because these drivers cannot make it on fuel as it goes.
Yeah, I think because that pit stop is still looming in the air, these drivers are going to keep trying to take as much time as they can out of their cars, use up those tires, knowing that they're going to be able to get fresh ones later in the race. I don't think these drivers are doing any kind of fuel saving. I don't think they're trying to do any kind of tire saving. It's just kind of flat out trying to get as much as you can. Use up all that grip, use up all that gas. But we have the caution now, which is going to completely shake things up.
That is going to put a stop on this battle. That's the 121 of Andrew Burrow. Goes around, and an unsafe rejoin. He collects Brandon Schulenberger. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, we were just riding on board that number 7.
Oh, gosh.
Very unfortunate. Just wrong place, wrong time, it seemed. And that might be the night done for the Wingate number 7 car of Brandon Schulenberger.
And that car is toast. As the entire field is going to come down pit road with him, but Schulenberger going to have to get some repairs done after a not really sure what Burrell was doing pulling out in front of the 7. I guess he assumed that Schulenberger was going to go high, but an interesting incident there as we see everybody in the field coming down pit road. It's disbelief for Schulenberger. The hands go on the head, and he is not happy with Burrell at the moment. As who is going to win the race off of pit road? It looks like Morton has come out on top of Muhammad Alif and Clint Halterman. Charles Wembley rolls off 4th. Zach DeWale up to that 5th position. Edward Sanchez 6th. Andrew Stagey is going to roll off 7th. Edwin Onofre 8th. Timothy Wilms for Drexel cracks the top 10 for the first time tonight, as he is going to roll off in that 10th position. And Thomas Toomey, as the order is still going to shake up a little bit. I think they're cycling through some lap traffic at the moment. But there it looks like our top 10 running position has settled out. Matthew Morton retains the lead. Muhammad Alif just behind him. Halterman, Wembley, DeWale, Sanchez, Stagey, Onofre, Toomey, and Wilms, yes, does crack the top 10 for the first time tonight.
Take a look at what happened here in just a moment to give us our race under caution.
We get a double dose of Schulenberger. But yeah, there you see the 121 of Burrell coming through the dog leg and into turn 1. I believe this happened
out of turn 4.
Out of turn 4, correct. So the 121 is going to go around. He's going to lose control of the car. He's going to wind up being parked backwards on the track. And I think just a little, he got checked up by the 71 of Zach Tallman. And there he comes to a stop. And it's when he gets the car flicked back around in front of the leaders. I think he expected the 7 to go high, but the 7 at the last second just dips down and makes contact with a rolling 121, and that is most likely going to end both of their nights.
Yeah, I think the 121 was expecting Schillenberger to follow Zachary DeWale and Charles Wembley and going above the 121. But yeah, just unfortunate coming together. Would have been better to hold the brakes for 121, but it's kind of just an unfortunate miscommunication, which will unfortunately be ending their nights. Very, very tragic for number 7 for Brandon Schillenberger. Was running very strong.
So, yeah, and race control is definitely going to take a look at that because it is written into the CIL FlexWare College Cup Series rulebook that you have to hold the brakes until the field goes by. That is going to definitely incur a unsafe rejoin and cause of collision penalty for the number 121 car. He was perfectly fine until there you see the caution is out, so these drivers are getting slowed down. And as we approach the incident site, Schulenberger commits to the bottom and collected by a rolling 121 car. I'm really not sure what Burrell was doing there. I think both of those drivers thought that they were in the clear. As was that Daniel Nanny around? I think that, yeah, the 30 car was backwards for a second there.
Yes.
What in the world? As I believe we are going to go back to green flag racing here. We're going to try and see what happened to the number 30 car under caution as the 62 loses it and crashes into Nanny. That was on the that was actually on the restart. So we missed the restart and then immediately another caution coming out as the 62 of Veliki loses control and collects the 30 of Nanny. So is it a full moon tonight by any chance? Because there is chaos everywhere on track. I believe we are on caution either of number 9 or number 10 as you see the 62, the 30, and the 7 coming down pit road to get damage fixed.
It's not been Danny's night. Normally a front runner, but a couple of incidents have really nerfed that number 30 Ball State machine. They have won a race this season, so they should be fine if they're trying to make playoffs. If since that win should be locking them in, if I'm not mistaken. So nothing too much to worry for that number 30 car. Meanwhile,
Yeah, the only
Morin's
thing
still
I'd
at
be
the lead. Sorry.
Yeah, the only thing that I'd be concerned about is some possible suspension damage to that right side where he smacked the wall pretty hard. But yeah, you said it. Matthew Morton still, after all this, in control of this race. I believe that was the last pit stop these drivers are going to have to make. So everybody is good to go to the end on fuel and on tires, and we're going to have a 50-lap shootout to decide the winner of the duel in the desert here in our Leg Dog 150 here at Phoenix. There you're riding on board with Muhammad Alif of Ball State University, one of our international drivers here in the Collegiate iRacing League. He hails from Singapore, and he got busy on spring break. Good haircut for that number 12 driver.
Yeah, it's been a pretty smooth day for Muhammad Alif. We haven't really had to talk too much about him. Just been running it clean, and it's currently running in the second position. So a very strong day for Muhammad Alif. Maybe challenging for the lead if want to try to lead something, but definitely a confident day for Muhammad Alif. Going to bring it back with some strong results as we have 50 laps to go in our the Leg Dog 100 presented by RMU iRacing.
Yeah, Alif, one of our 4 drivers that are currently locked in to the College Cup Series playoffs. He's got 2 wins, and they both came on the road courses this week. And that, of course, this season. That, of course, is no surprise given his success in our CIL Formula C side, where he's got 10 wins to his name out of, I believe, 16 races so far this season. But he's back from spring break, as well as most of that Ball State crew, and they're picking up right where they left off in the Cup Series. As I believe he is currently the only Ball State car inside the top 10. Everybody else having some problems tonight, getting caught up in wrecks, caught up in incidents. Andrew Stagey is running 7th. That 88 has quietly snuck his way back up inside the top 10. But we are lined up once again, 2 by 2. Matthew Morton, the control car, as it has been all night. And we are about ready to go back to racing here at Phoenix. They're going to make the crawl towards the Geico restart zone. Morton hits the gas, and here we go. 50 lap shootout to decide the winner. As they're going to be 3 wide for the 4th position going into turn 1. You can see the focus and the determination in those drivers' eyes. Muhammad Alif on the bottom left, Clint Halterman on the bottom right. This is the number 12 versus the 077. Ball State versus UNC Charlotte. This is another rivalry that has been going on all season long. These 2 drivers trading positions inside the top 5 pretty much all night, trying to have the chance to chase down Matthew Morton for the lead. Muhammad Alif does have a win here in the past. He won here back in, I believe, the spring of last year in season 7. He walked away with a victory here at Phoenix. This is a track that very much plays into the strength of some of our road course drivers, and both of these guys very good on the road courses here in the FlexWare College Cup Series. So no shocker that they're inside the top 3 tonight.
Yeah, they've been battling all night, being very respectful to each other, just running these laps down and just basically studying each other. But Morton has been just not demanding, but dominating is what I meant to say. Currently 6/10 up, and again, he had just a massive restart and cleared the field away and forced Alif and Halterman to settle their differences while he just got to enjoy that clean air, enjoy that single line, and
Alif is leading
right now.
Yeah, Alif is leading this battle for the time being, as we have gone single file inside our top 7. Looks like there's a nice little battle for the 8th position heating up between Edwin Onofre and Andrew Stagey just behind them. There you see Stagey looking to the inside of that mean green UNT machine to the inside of turn 3. Looks like Onofre gets the much better exit and is going to walk away with that position, as now Dylan Godina is knocking on the door of the top 10 tonight. He actually finished 3rd here last season. So there's a driver who is currently working his way up through the field, albeit very quietly, for the Penn College of Technology. As the time in the race winds down, 108 laps complete, just under 45 laps remaining in this event. I think it's prime time, producer Christian and John, for a little CIL crank it up. Let's do it. Working on lap 115 of 150 in tonight's Leg Dog 150, presented by Robert Morris University iRacing. It has been a chaotic race under the lights here at Phoenix. The duel in the desert has kicked up a sandstorm that has spun many of our drivers out of tonight's event, as we have racked up 10 cautions, but we've got a nice little stint, hopefully to the finish, as these drivers are good to go on fuel and tires to make it to the end. Matthew Morton, the leader at the moment, he's got about a half a second lead over a hard-charging Muhammad Alif. That gap has come down by a few tenths over the last couple of laps, and they have left Clint Halterman in the dust, possibly to fall into the clutches of Charles Wembley at this rate.
Yeah, definitely to keep our eyes on that lead battle, but this battle back here, Edward and Norfrey are going to have to defend against a couple cars here, as they all want to vie for those extra points as our regular season comes to a close. Many of these cautions we've had so far in this race have had some very grave implications for a couple of our drivers, but these ones still running strong to try to make the most they can to make a late season playoff run.
Yeah, we had a lot of heavy hitters inside the top 10, the qualifying order in tonight's race, but that has meant virtually nothing at this point. As you mentioned it, some of our playoff favorites, drivers that we were really expecting to make the playoffs this year, jockeying for position in the top 10, trying to find that first win, and then just out of nowhere taken out in a wreck, either by misfortune or their own self-undoing. But this race is definitely going to shake up our playoff standings as we head into the regular season championship race next week at Bristol, where we will make the ultimate cut to our top 10 playoff drivers.
Yeah, at that track, Bristol, going to be one hectic one. Just how compressed it is, it's going to be chaotic to see who is going to be vying for the Season 10 CIL College Cup Series Championship.
It really is an interesting choice of track for the regular season championship race. You know, we went from we did Talladega last year, and now Bristol this season. So it's two pretty much polar opposite tracks to declare a regular season champion, but they're both just as dreaded and chaotic for the drivers in our FlexWare College Cup Series. But yeah, Bristol, half mile, high bank turns, extremely fast, where anything can go wrong at any point, and there is the possibility of a big one at Bristol, especially as the aggression levels next week are going to be as high as they have ever been in the FlexWare College Cup Series, with tons of drivers vying for that win to lock themselves into the playoffs in just 1 week's time.
There we can see on our screen there, number 7 of Brandon Schulenberger was an unfortunately collected in our previous accident, but is still out there running, only a lap down, but missing a bumper there. So it's unfortunately off the pace after running a very strong race for the majority of this race here at Phoenix Raceway. And is now just kind of pacing around, losing a lot of time though, but just going to run it to the end. Good on him there for trying to bring it to the end. But a lot of these drivers are going to have to navigate their way. There we see Jason Wallet and Dylan Godinez, and I think that's Kelton Quick, the number 2 car, making their way around these lapped cars here as they continue to try to make what positions they can as we near the last 25 laps of this race.
25 laps to go in this event when they cross the stripe next time by. 25 miles standing between Matthew Morton and potentially his 4th win of the season, as he has picked up the pace a little bit and has increased his lead over Muhammad Alif, who is looking for his 3rd win of the season to try and tie Morton going into the regular season championship next week at Bristol. If Morton wins tonight, then he will lock in himself as the regular season championship by virtue as the regular season champion by virtue of wins. But that ultimately comes down to points. And I believe looking at our overall championship, he has a 2-point lead over Muhammad Alif by just by virtue of finishes alone. So if he wins tonight, that would increase his lead to 7 points over Alif next week. And then Clint Halterman, ironically enough, also third on track and in the overall points championship going into next week's race. So the gaps from first to second and second to third would increase. Actually, now that I look at it, the top 4 of tonight's race are the top 4 in our championship: Morton, Alif, Halterman, and Wembley. So it would be no change pretty much inside the top 4 as we head into Bristol, and Matthew Morton could go ahead and put one hand on that regular season championship trophy. But Morton and Alif already locked into the playoffs by virtue of winning at some point this season. Halterman and Wembley still looking for that first win to go ahead and lock themselves in, but they are both also to the good right now in points, as I believe Halterman is 7 points, or excuse me, 12 points above the cut line. Wembley is only 7 points above the cut line, so it's still very tight as to who's in and who's looking ahead to next week at Bristol.
Looking further back here, we got a decent battle here. The number 2 Ball State machine trying to fight against Dylan Godinez ahead, and Jason Willott ahead of them, trying to get that top 10 position from Jason Willott and get as many points as they can get. Which has been the common theme of tonight, as I think we've talked about a lot, is just the playoff implications of the results of tonight. A lot of drivers trying to get what they can.
Yeah, and when you're this close to potentially getting in on points, every position is going to matter, especially if you're some of these guys in the top 10 that are behind drivers that have wrecked out already tonight, as we have a caution come out on track. Excuse me, that is an Auburn car that is facing the wrong direction. The 34 of Logan Smith has gone backwards across the start-finish line. So we'll have to see what happened to him, but this is going to turn into a 16-lap shootout to declare the winner. So Alif and Halterman and really Wembley, anybody in the top 5 or 6, still not out of this race. And now the question is, do you come to pit road and get fresh tires, because you've got about 50 laps on this set that you're on right now?
I think we've seen it. I was actually going to say that the move would be to
there's the answer. Yep.
But yeah, they answered that for you. Everybody is, I want some nice new tires. Give me them good years.
Everybody is coming down pit road to get 4 fresh tires. The race off of pit road is going to be extremely intense. Matthew Morton with the advantage. He has that very first pit stall at the end of pit road. So Halterman pits right behind Morton. Alif is into his box and stopped. Actually, Halterman, the pole sitter, has that first box on pit road. You can see the right sides of those cars coming up. Morton takes 2 tires. What a stop and a gamble from both the 1 and the 12, as the rest of the field takes 4 tires. And Andrew Stagey is going to make out with a ton of positions off of pit road. What a strategy call by these drivers to get off of pit road. Wow.
Yeah, 2 tires for a lot of these cars up front, and they're going to get a lot of positions. Andrew Stagey now looking up front, right behind his teammate in Muhammad Alif. Might be a very smart decision from Ball State to get a double podium tonight if they can maintain this position. But Clint Altman sitting right behind him, going to have 4 tires. It's going to definitely have a bit more pace on this restart. So it's not all set and done. It's not set in stone just yet. They still got another restart to go. And I think that fresh tires might play in Halterman's hand. Is going to have more momentum when we got on the restart. And it's definitely going to be able to threaten these 3 cars up front that only took 2.
We're going to take a look at the replay of what brought out the caution there. You see Logan Smith in the 34 just loses it coming off of turn 4. The car steps out from underneath him, and he actually does a great job to keep that car off the inside wall, and is going to go ahead and throw it in reverse to try to get that thing swung back around. And that is ultimately what brought out our 11th and possibly final caution of the night. But I'm a betting man, and I would not put money on that being the last caution of the night, as the intensity is only going to heat up. Your drivers that are starting on the front row have wins this season. They've locked themselves into the playoffs already, but everybody behind them is fighting for that first win to try and make it in. And I think tonight, this final restart is going to be a no-holds-barred slugfest to the end out here in the desert.
Zach, do you want to say the line? Do we need to say it, or do we just want to nudge it?
I think it's better unspoken, because everybody know what's about to happen next.
But side by side, 1 lap to go before we start right back up and get the final 15 laps underway. Front row, Matthew Morton alongside Muhammad Alif. Fred, the pace car driver, the newly appointed pace car driver of iRacing, dives down in the pit lane. Matthew Morton under control of the grid, of the field. About to get back underway.
This is it. This is for the win in tonight's race. It's going to be a 15-lap shootout for the win. Both these drivers on the front row looking for an additional win to their name. Everybody behind them looking for their first win this season. Matthew Morton hits the gas in the restart zone, and we are back to racing at Phoenix, and look how tight they are behind him. They're going to be 4 wide going into the corner. Holy cow. They were almost 4 wide going into turn 1 for that 4th position. Charles Wembley, the first car on 4 fresh tires, trying to make his way around both of those Ball State cars. He's going to do the unthinkable and try to get both of them picked off in a lap, and that is exactly what he's going to do. Charles Wembley up into the 2nd position for Guilford College, as he's going to set his sights on the front, as Thomas Toomey and I believe that was Edward Sanchez are going to tangle down the back straightaway, almost collecting Edwin and Ofre as well, but everybody gets it straightened out, and we stay green. 14 to go, now 13 to go at Phoenix.
That was a very good save from Thomas Toomey back there. I was seeing that in my peripheral, and it was a very tight one, I can say, but looks like Zach DeWale got a massive understeer as they are exiting turn number 2. As you can see, Thomas Toomey is now going to make his way underneath Edwin and Ofre to take what would be P8 on the field. But he's around.
Oh, and Toomey goes around. Do we get a caution? He saves it, and the caution does, in fact, come out. We are going to re-rack it and go again. I think the caution came out because he went underneath the minimum speed. That part of the track down there is technically considered racing surface in the open dogleg of Phoenix. So he went too slow on track despite making the save, and that is going to bring out our 12th caution of the evening.
Yeah, exiting turn number 4 here, and you can just see how oversteery the car is right there as he tries to get back on the power, but eventually gets a bit too greedy, and the oversteer gets a bit too much to handle, and it's going to fall down to the apron, but it keeps it off the wall, and it's going to be able to get right back onto the field, get back onto the track, and ultimately not too much of a loss for the University of Virginia car of Thomas Toomey.
And Daniel Nanny, just a quick update, has rolled that car to the garage, so his day is done for Ball State.
Yeah, that's kind of unfortunate for a driver who we normally see always kind of up front in a lot of these races. But it's been a very, very non-standard race we've had here for a lot of these drivers. Just with the cautions, with the setup, and a lot of these drivers going to have had to adapt to a very unique situation here. But we find ourselves under caution with 10 laps to go. Going to probably be about not 8 laps to go once we get back underway here. Matthew Morton, our reigning Cup Series champion, still in the lead, but we got a Charles Wimbley in second position on those 4 fresh tires, who's vying for that lead to take the win. And this, if they were to take a win, this would lock them in to the College Cup Series playoffs.
Yeah, Wembley has had a really good night all night, albeit a relatively quiet one. He's pretty much stayed inside the top 5 for Guilford College the entire night. So finally an opportunity presenting itself to them to strike for the lead. But Matthew Morton has just been untouchable on these restarts. He's been unpredictable in the restart zone, which makes it even harder to figure out when he's going to go so you can possibly get the jump on that number 1 car. But he's going to have at least one more restart between him and the checkered flag in his 4th win of the season. But as you mentioned, Charles Wembley trying to pick up his first win of the season and his first win in the Flexware College Cup Series. And what a win it would be to lock him into the playoffs in just a week's time. Going to be Ford, Toyota, Chevy on this restart as well. So interesting that despite Toyota's dominance this weekend in the NASCAR Cup Series in real life, we've got a battle of 3 different makes inside the top 3. Despite I believe that the driver's preference is Chevy. There's a lot of bow ties in the field tonight, but the other two makes pulling their weight as well.
Yeah, there's no cheating Yoders in here. Yeah, if you try to like dent your roof, it's probably because you're wrecked, not because you're trying to do something malicious.
Yeah, no webbed gloves out the window either for those Fords. Sorry, Joey. But there you see Fred, the pace car driver, makes the hard left onto pit road. It's going to be Matthew Morton and Charles Wembley on the front row. A Ball State lockout of row 2, Stakey and Alif behind them. Halterman and DeWale looking to maybe make some reparations with each other after last week's disaster of a finish for DeWale at Las Vegas. Behind them, Sanchez and Onofre, Wallet and Quick rounding out the top 10 as great restart once again from Matt Morton is going to bring out the green flag, and we have a 7-lap shootout to the end here at Phoenix. And already everybody's getting to work. It's all Morton out front, but behind them, the battles are just heating up as Stagey's going to lose out on a run on the 077 of Halterman. He does get his nose back to the inside for that 3rd position. They're going to be almost side by side through the middle of the corner, but Halterman uses the momentum to his advantage and takes that position back away on the front stretch as they're going to be 3 wide going into the corner. The 519 of DeWale clears himself on the nose of the 26 of Edward Sanchez, and now here comes Jason Wallet for Drexel to the inside.
All of our picks doing well in the closing ends of this race. Dr. DeWale currently in 6th, sniffing the rear bumper of our Muhammad Alif. 5 laps to go as they cross the line here. They are super close, all of these drivers right here, thanks to the restart. The Whale trying to get himself top 5 finish as he looks at the Ball State machine of Alif right in front of him, trying to make his move. And Sanchez going a bit lower than the Whale right there, trying to see if the Whale's fight with Alif can yield some brighter pastures, and he can make an opportunistic move.
Sanchez caught a piece of the wall coming off of turn 4 that killed his momentum down the front stretch, and that let Wallet into the mix, as now Wallet's going to try and go to town on the back bumper of Sanchez. But now Sanchez looking to the inside of DeWale, going to make a challenge for that position. It's 2 different fronts here of battle for that 26 car as he's trying to take that position away from the 519 ahead of him, but also defend from Wallet behind. They got 3 laps to go across the line that time by.
Lots of stacking up happening back in about the 10th place position, as I think it was probably Dylan Godinez, I believe, tapped the wall there. But 2 laps to go crossing the line. Lots of cars fighting back here, but up front, Matthew Morton is in a class of his own right now, 8 tenths ahead of Charles Wimbley as he goes across the back straight. And it is completely free for Morton right now.
As the number 1 car who's been in the number 1 position all night is going to take the white flag. 1 lap to go here at Phoenix. It's been all Morton all night, and it's really been all Morton all season. He will definitely be the favorite to win not only the regular season championship, but also the Flexware College Cup Series championship as we make the cut to our playoff drivers next week. But as that Ohio State car brings it around turns 3 and 4 one more time, Matthew Morton is going to see the checkered flag. He wins the Leg Dog 150 at Phoenix.
What a commanding drive from Ohio State University's Matthew Morton. Qualified second, but immediately took the lead and did not look back.
What a drive from him. I think he led almost every single lap tonight.
I think it's safe to say he did lead every lap. That's all it is. Let's see some smoke.
As Matthew Morton's going to burn it down here on the front stretch right before the start-finish line to collect his checkered flag. This is his 4th win of the season in 9 races. It's been domination here for Matthew Morton and Ohio State in the Flexware College Cup Series. But what a phenomenal season he's had so far.
Yeah, just in a league of his own, it seems. This is so comfortable with running on old tires, on new tires, on the restarts, and on the long runs. Well done tonight by Matthew Morton.
We're going to wait for all of our drivers to get up here in the booth to interview them and talk to them about tonight's Chaos Fest of a race. As Matthew Morton's going to climb out of the car. We're going to catch him as soon as we see him available for an interview. But, man, what a race under the lights here tonight at Phoenix. I think we had just about everything that could happen did happen tonight. As there we see Matthew Morton out of the car, we're going to go ahead and bring tonight's winner into the booth by means of complete domination over the rest of the field. Matthew Morton is your winner of tonight's Leg Dog 150 presented by RMU iRacing. Congratulations, Matthew. You now have 4 wins this season.
Thank you, guys. It was nice to stay out front there and lead all those laps. Clean air definitely helped, so happy to get the win.
Let's hear. Well, I have to ask, you led pretty much every lap. What is your secret, if you can tell us?
I don't really know if there's a secret. I had a little help doing NIS last night, helping me prepare for the race. Happened to fall in line with the schedules, so got some good quality laps in NIS last night. Racing against some of the best oval drivers on the service. So I think some of the tips I learned last night really translated to the pace we had tonight.
Well, Matt, we saw just how much the restarts played into your advantage. We thought that they would be some sort of with the amount of restarts would be some sort of a stumbling block for you in the lead, but they seem to really only help your case. What was it like navigating all of those restarts? And I guess in lieu of John's question, what's your secret to how good you are at restarting these races?
Yeah, the restart zone at Phoenix it plays advantage to the inside lane a lot more compared to other tracks on the service. So just getting a good launch on the inside really gives you that advantage compared to the outside. And since I have the knowledge of when I'm going to go in the zone, and nobody else does, it's going to allow me to pull just a few tenths ahead of everybody else. So the restarts just by design really helped me out tonight. Helped me get that initial lead on those runs and established clean air for the runs I had during the race.
Well, congratulations on your victory tonight. Dare I say the favorite to win the regular season championship next week at Bristol and possibly even the Flexware College Cup. Anybody you'd like to thank or shout out while we've got you here on the show?
Yeah, I'd like to thank you guys, all the broadcast crew, everybody behind the scenes, making this league happen every week. It's awesome to be a part of it, compete in it. And then I'd like to shout out parents watching at home, or I still live at home. Well, but yeah, just my parents, grandparents watching, supporting me. Awesome. It's to see they have interest in a hobby I have pursuing. Just happy to see them support what I'm doing. It's just nice to have that support. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, congratulations again, and we'll see you next week at Bristol.
Thank you guys. Go Bucks.
That was tonight's winner, Matthew Morton. Just a phenomenal, dominant drive all night long, and I'd be willing to bet that he did lead every single lap tonight. But
Yeah,
we
just-
are gonna. Oop, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I was just a one hell of a drive from Matthew Morton. It's kind of what we expect given the rest, how the rest of the season has gone for the Ohio State driver. But yeah, just really well held today. Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations indeed. But we are going to go ahead and talk to our runner-up finisher tonight from Guilford College, Charles Wembley. It's been a while since we've had you here in the booth, but welcome back. A quiet race tonight, pretty much inside the top 5, top 6 all night, but you brought it home second. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a really tough, hard-fought race. I just wish that I didn't bottle the restart, and then we probably could have had a good fight to Morton. But all glory to God. I love being in the series. I love competing against these guys in these great schools. To be in a podium in this series is great. It's really cool to be second. And I'll look at the film to see what I could do better in the future.
I believe you were one of our few drivers as we went on that last caution. Pretty much everyone went into the pits, but you were one of the few that decided to pick all 4 fresh tires rather than 2. Was there any premeditation behind that? How was that feeling when you got onto the track?
To be completely honest, I thought everyone was taking 4. So when people told me that everyone was taking 2, I thought that actually gave me a bit of confidence at the moment to use all the tires I got, as opposed to saving, which is something that I still have to work on. But knowing that others took 2 and I was probably first that took 4, it gave me a really good confidence boost to move up the field to the best of my ability, and it gave me more confidence when I was in second trying to chase Morton. But again, the restart, I just straight up bottled it. But regardless, best career finish. That's something really good to look on, and hopefully we'll be in a good points position to make the playoffs and in the student standings as well.
Yeah, huge points haul for your playoff hopes, as well as, like you said, your championship on the student side for individual and school alike. But you mentioned that you were going to go back and watch the race to try and see where you can improve. So always trying to improve. What do you think you can take into next week at Bristol to either try and secure that win that's going to lock you into the playoffs, or do well enough to get in on points?
Looking into Bristol, I think as long as I don't make any enemies, I think I'll be fine. Thankfully, I have a decent cushion, but obviously, no one's safe in Bristol. But I'll go into it thinking that I just really need to finish the race, and I think we'll be in a pretty good spot to make the playoffs. But um, as opposed to a film, looking at where others are braking, how others are saving tires, and especially knowing, trying to indicate when someone's gonna go on the restart is a big takeaway to what I am learning. But defeat, you learn more in the loss than you ever do in the win. So I'm gonna take all of this to my memory bank and see what I could do moving forward.
You learn more in the loss than you do in the win. That's a great quote. Someone put that on a t-shirt. But congratulations again, Charles. While we've got you on the show, anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, hi mom, hi dad. I know you guys are watching. Thank you for supporting me and always. All the guys at Track On Garage that I work with have been supporting me all the way. Uh, my advisor Craig is also watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope everyone in the broadcast enjoyed it. I'm excited for the playoffs, learn as much as I can, and I'm honestly excited. I'm excited to go to Bristol.
Yeah, congratulations again, man, and hopefully we'll be talking to you next week.
Yes, sir. Have a good night, guys.
You too. That was our runner-up finisher tonight, Charles Wembley from Guilford College. And John, it's great to see that a lot of our drivers are getting a ton of support from friends and family, especially when, for all intents and purposes, this is a hobby.
Yeah, and I think even at that, it's a very lonely hobby once you get in the car. A lot of these drivers use the computer spotter. It's just a computer voice in your ear telling when the car's high or low when you need to pit. So it's kind of just you and your schizophrenic demons when it's me in the car. But um, so having your family backing you up, having your friends, having your advisors, having your classmates back you up is always a nice bit of reassurance and to keep with it and stay committed and have some fun while you're racing against such tough competition out here.
Indeed. Well, let's go ahead and round out our interviews with tonight's third place finisher. Once again, Clint Halterman from UNC Charlotte. Congratulations on another great race and what appears to be yet another third place finish for you. You might as well just go ahead and pitch a tent on that third step of the podium because you've made it quite a home. What do you think it's going to take for you to kick it up a step or two and try and take away the win next week at Bristol?
I'm gonna need Morton to get involved in some kind of wreck, I think. Or maybe someone unplug his internet or something. But yeah, it's feels like every week I'm just like I'm happy with a solid or good result podium, but it's like, man, I really wanted to win a race at some point. I think I've gotten like 3 or 4 podiums in the last 5 weeks or something like that, and none of them have been wins. And then this one I felt pretty good with, and I kind of felt like, um, I had a big moment on lap 2 after I qualified. I got the pole, didn't get a good start, and then almost spun into turn 1 on lap 2, and I feel like that kind of really hurt just because it was really hard to pass. So the track position was really key. That's kind of, I wouldn't say that's where I really lost the race because I think also on the last pit stop, I think Morton and a Leaf took 2 tires. I took 4, so I had a little bit of edge there. But it doesn't seem. But Morton's he's so good at saving his tires, and he's just a really good driver. So it's really 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 tough to beat him. And I tried my hardest on one run to. I was in second. I tried my hardest to run him down, but couldn't get there. So yeah, going to the Bristol. I don't know. Bristol's always chaotic, so maybe I can hope for some chaos, and then I hope that I don't get involved in the chaos, and some of my competitors do. So I don't know. I mean I'm happy that I'm upset with a podium, I guess, but I really want to get that win.
Yeah, we had a bit of everything tonight. We had a lot of short running with cautions. Then we got a nice long stint of green flag running. And what is there any kind of notes that you're taking as we go into the final race of our regular season that came from such a diverse experience tonight?
Yeah, I guess so. With the both tracks kind of being short tracks, even though Phoenix isn't really race is like a short track, so you can kind of take some of the same philosophies, I guess, from Phoenix to Bristol. Just in your braking, probably shouldn't be shifting at Bristol like we were here. Um, But I think the main thing just how the car reacts under heavy braking, and we'll see if we get a longer run at Bristol. But I imagine I could see the rear tires kind of sliding around a little bit, and that's kind of how it felt here. In the longer runs, the rears were kind of sliding around, whereas on the short runs, the car was a lot tighter. So just kind of, and really also those restarts are so chaotic. It's going to basically be like that almost every single lap at Bristol. Going to be side by side with guys, and maybe even three wide at some point. So just trying to get more comfortable being uncomfortable, I guess, being in the chaos. Um, so yeah, there's some things you can take from Phoenix to Bristol, but at the end of the day, Bristol's just a completely different animal. It's just going to be a complete wild card, honestly.
A wild card race indeed. What you so you were in the lead among the non-winning drivers in the playoff standings, I believe by 5 points. By virtue of Charles finishing a position ahead of you, that lead has been cut to 4. It's going to be super tight because you were only 7 points above the cut line coming into tonight's race. So what's going to be your strategy next week at Bristol? Are you going to go for that win, or are you just going to try to survive?
Uh I was honestly I was thinking playing that same scenario tonight. Like if we got a late race caution, if staying out or taking 2 tires would be the move, try to go for the win, or just kind of following what everyone else does and getting a solid result. And I think I probably will lean towards just being a little bit safer. Um, I have to see what the points situation is. If I've got if I feel like I have a good enough gap where I'm like, okay, I'm pretty safe no matter what, then I'll be a little bit more aggressive or maybe do something a little bit different. But at this point, it's just make the playoffs. That's the goal. I don't want to do anything stupid to screw that up in the last race when I've had a pretty good season so far. So it's honestly just gonna be about surviving Bristol. Don't get it caught in someone else's mess. Try to not make a mistake there, and just get to the playoffs. And with these kind of string of podiums, I think I have a decent amount of playoff points too. So I just want to make sure I get to the playoffs, and then it's a whole new season from there.
Well, congratulations on yet another podium finish here in the Cup Series, the Flexware College Cup Series. You know the drill. Shout them out.
I was just gonna shout my friends and family as always, and shout y'all for putting on another great race tonight. And I'm looking forward. Well, I'm not sure if I'm looking forward to Bristol, but I'm looking forward to racing with everybody next week. So,
Yeah, congratulations again, Clint, and we'll talk to you next week.
all right, thank you guys.
That was tonight's third place finisher from UNC Charlotte. Clint Halterman had a phenomenal night all night. Started from the pole, brought it home third, and I think he saw just about every single position in the top 5 at some point.
Yeah, it was a very good run, just very consistent for Halterman tonight. Unfortunately, couldn't keep his pole position into the win, but has been very consistent throughout the whole season. And hopefully, his luck will turn around next week at Bristol and get a win in the regular season before the playoffs begin.
And with the playoffs on the line, that means we are now 1 race away from cutting to our top 10 drivers and declaring our playoff field for season 10 of the Flexware College Cup Series. And it's going to be a phenomenal race next week at Bristol. And if it's anything like what we saw this week, the aggression is going to be off the charts. The drivers are going to be hungrier than ever to try and pick up that win to lock themselves into the College Cup Series playoffs, but also just to try and pick up as many points as they can, since that battle at the cut line is so unbelievably tight after 9 rounds.
Yeah, it's been really, really tight for a lot of these drivers, most of them without wins, and they're trying to fight for all the points. And I know it's almost a given that Bristol, with how argy-bargy it can get, we're going to see a lot of chaos and a lot of bump and runs, and trying to get as many points as you can get to try to just slightly skirt past that line and lock yourself in to hopefully get your shot at the season 10 College Cup Series championship.
Well, as this round comes to a close and we look ahead to Bristol, let's go ahead and take a look at our unofficial results from tonight's race. John, take it away.
Taking the win in commanding fashion, Matthew Morton from Ohio State University takes the first position ahead of Charles Wimbley from Guilford College, 8/10 back. Clint Halterman from UNC Charlotte takes it home in third ahead of Andrew Stagey from Ball State University. Behind is also a Ball State University car, Muhammad Alif in P5, ahead of Zachary DeWale from St. Clair College. Edward Sanchez from Baruch College comes home in seventh ahead of Jason Mollot from Drexel University. Elton Quick, our third Ball State car, comes home in ninth ahead of Thomas Toomey from University of Virginia. Dylan
Looking at the
Godinez
rest
from
of
Sorry.
Oop. Looking at our second 10 finishers, Dylan Godinez from the Pennsylvania College of Technology has a solid result tonight, finishing 11th. Edward Onofre will finish P12 for the University of North Texas. P13 goes to Ryan Whitlock from Alabama Huntsville. Drexel's Timothy Wilms will finish 14th. Logan Smith, after a late race issue, will bring it home 15th for Auburn University. Brandon Schulenberger will finish as the last car on the lead lap, fighting back to a phenomenal finish after crashing out late in the race. Got that car fixed and back out on track. He will finish P16 for Wingate. First car not on the lead lap is Zach Tallman, 2 laps down for a PCT. His teammate Austin DeLong will finish 18th, 3 laps down. Ben Neller from Ball State University will finish P19. Hunter Haddisty from Clemson rounds out our top 20.
Landon Vilecki from Auburn University comes home in 21st, 9 laps down ahead of Daniel Nanny from Ball State University, coming home 22nd. Sky Shrek, quiet night for that University of Oklahoma machine in 23rd, ahead of Andrew Burrell from Clemson University. Nick Stockner, another Clemson car, comes home 25th ahead of Andrew Williams from another Clemson car. They were taken out in very similar, very near occurrences on track. But very unfortunate. Lucas Moody in 27th from Ball State University ahead of Ricky Paz, taken out early from Valparaiso. Then Trevor Rizzo rounds out the field 29th from Clemson.
Well, the checkered flag has flown amidst the sandstorm, and Matthew Morton and Ohio State University have survived and take the lead once again in the playoffs as the end of the regular season looms ever closer, now only 1 week away. And as the pressure mounts for the playoffs, we head into the final race of the regular season, the Buc-ee's Bristol Bash 200, presented by East Tennessee State University Esports. This is it. This is the end of the line for all but 10 of our drivers who will take the first step towards putting their hands on the FlexWare College Cup Series titles. The playoffs are finally here, and 10 of our drivers stand only 200 laps from a shot at the College Cup Series championship and eternal CIL glory. With 6 spots left for a driver to lock themselves in, the rowdiest track on the calendar, the last great Coliseum, will mean so much more as these gladiators try and chase that win that will earn them a berth into the playoffs in just 1 week's time. And then after the race, stick around because we will reveal the 10 drivers who have earned a spot in the playoffs and will move one step closer to the FlexWare College Cup Series championship. So be sure you don't miss any of that race. With our Ignition Zone pre-race show starting at 8:30 Eastern and on-track coverage beginning at 8:50 live here on CIL Vision. And if you can't wait for more CIL action, it's the second round of our American Swing in CIL Formula College. For the first time in FC history, we're going to one of the most popular tracks in all of iRacing and perhaps the most requested circuit on the calendar, Road Atlanta. I just got a yeah from producer Christian. So be sure you don't miss Le Petit Grand Prix live from Road Atlanta on Wednesday night at 8:45 Eastern, live here on CIL Vision. And the action continues on our roadside on Thursday night as the Collegiate Prototype Challenge goes Dutch, and we head to the Circuit Zandvoort for the first time for our Grand Prix of the Netherlands. Jordan Johnson's unprecedented 7-race win streak was snapped in the Purple Rain by St. Clair College's Athena Leclerc, who beat his record for the largest margin of victory in CIL history, nearly lapping the entire field while she was at it. So will Jordan Johnson continue his reign of dominance in the prototypes, or will someone else step to the top once more? That action starts this Thursday night at 8:45 Eastern. And I believe that's going to do it for all of us tonight. So on behalf of myself, co-commentator John, producers Christian and Keith, and all of us here at the CIL, we'd like to thank you for tuning in to tonight's Leg Dog 150 presented by Robert Morris University iRacing. And until next time, stay fast.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.